Violent attacks on correctional officers across the nation. 2 correctional officers at Trumbull County facility in Ohio attacked and injured by an inmate. 3 officers attacked at a medical facility, a correctional medical facility in California, and injured during a cell extraction. The inmate had an improvised weapon. Cross City, Florida, a few months ago, 3 officers injured, 1 officer stabbed. Oneida County, New York, County Correctional Facility, officer hospitalized by an inmate. And I think recently you all saw the cop killer in New York who attacked a correctional officer. This is getting way out of hand. I've taken you from coast to coast just now, and I could just do an hour video of all the attacks on correctional officers in each state, all 50 states. Yes, we've always had attacks on correctional officers, but not of this multitude, and it's getting more dangerous. A friend of mine, Ralph Benitez, and I, he retired with me, we were just talking yesterday about the violence on the streets. We see it in the shootings and the stabbings and the schools now, unfortunately. But you also see it, he said, in just driving down the road to go take care of some errands. The hostility, the rage in some people. We just saw it here in Florida, over in Charlotte County, where a boat charter captain lost his temper. He got arrested now, and arrested for assault. And that video has gone viral. He lost his temper because some other boater was out there in his area or whatever. But we're seeing the violence among people that you wouldn't even expect it from now. So where does that go to? Where does it end up? It ends up in our jails and prisons, where you put all these tempers together, all these people with built up anger. And I'm not speaking of every single inmate. Some inmates are there and actually just do their time and don't bother anybody. But we're getting more and more violent criminals in our prisons. So, the main reason I'm here today is, are we training enough for these violent situations? And I'm going to go through a list and just briefly talk about what we need to train on. Is your agency, here's my question, is your agency training you on violent offenders and what to look for and signs that you need to look for? Well, we'll find out. I'm going to read these things that are just a few that I feel very important in the training to be aware and keep yourself safe. Keep your partners, keep your brothers and sisters safe on that front line. Situational awareness. Is your agency training you on situational awareness? Are you aware of what's going on around you? Are you aware of signs to look for of inmate behavior? Inmate behavior changes. Number 2, are you aware of the silence in your jail or prison, sending you a signal that something's wrong? Do you know the signs of inmates who are about to fight? Do you know when it gets quiet and you see inmates taking their flip-flops off, going and getting t-shirts and wrapping them up? All types of little signs. Do you know that? Are you being trained in that? Is your agency taking the time for officer safety training? A lot of questions we need to know, we need to answer. And if not, put in suggestions, folks. You on the front line, put in suggestions to your supervisors on what type of training you need to stay alive. What type of equipment do you need to stay alive? Is everyone keeping their equipment up to date? Your pepper ball gun, your riot guns, your shotguns with rubber bullets, all these things, your mace, your tasers if you have them. A lot of county jails have them, and some prisons are going to them. Ohio, right after this attack on these officers, Ross Correctional Institution, Ohio, in May this year, 2025, they're going to begin taser training and develop some kind of outline and policy and procedure for using this non-lethal weapon on these violent offenders and these attacks. I think it's very good. We have to protect ourselves. De-escalation techniques. Very good classes out there on de-escalation. You can de-escalate. It can be done. It won't happen in every incident because some of these attacks I explained to you were spontaneous. So the spontaneous attacks we need to be prepared for, and we need to know what to look for that might save us. But we can de-escalate many of the situations with verbal judo and the way we react. Inmate manipulation is huge. Are you being manipulated by the inmates? Are the inmates taking advantage of you? Setting you up for failure? Setting you up for a trap? Is your agency teaching you about inmate manipulation? If not, they should be. After attack analyzing, is your agency, after attacks like the 4 I just described, or 5, are they sitting down in a debriefing with the people involved in the incident, looking at the reports, going over the situation, and using this situation to teach back to the front line on how to handle it better? And I'm not talking about writing up officers. Every situation is different. Every dangerous situation may not be handled exactly to the policies and procedures. You know, if you're not there and you're Monday morning quarterbacking, you know, what should have been done, and you're going strictly by the book, I understand we must follow policy and procedure, don't get me wrong. But if you vary a little to the left, a little to the right, let's use constructive criticism to teach and guide everybody in the right direction. When officers are in fear of being written up for every little move they make, they hesitate and they get killed. Let's don't be leaders that put our officers in that position. Let's be leaders that help fix situations and train, and help our officers to become successful and stay alive and stay safe. Simulation training. Very good. I just finished the International Law Enforcement Educators and Training Association conference for a week long in St. Louis. They were teaching, several were teaching simulation training for corrections. Yes, law enforcement and corrections. But one thing that I forget about, and I was sitting in a class, Michael Warren from Command Presence was teaching a class and talking about, are the situations really as they look? And that goes back to situational awareness and inmate behavior. Is the situation exactly as it looks? And simulation, you go in there thinking, okay, we're going to do firearms, we're going to do taser. No, this class was nothing about that. This class was setting up training scenarios with a simulator. Some of these simulators can do any scenario you want. You get scenarios from your front line, incidents they've dealt with, and you put this scenario in the simulator, and then when you do your training, officers go through all these different scenarios. An inmate faking a suicide, an inmate really having, committing suicide or attempting suicide, an inmate getting ready to attack an officer, and you have so many variations you can put into these simulators nowadays that every agency should invest in training simulation training equipment. They really should. It's so important to training and the lives of our officers. Strategic Threat Group Awareness, STG awareness. We all need to be aware of that. We all need to be trained in that. And we all need to know where the gangs are, who the gang leaders are, what gangs we have, what they have done in the past, and be aware, inmate behavior. Be aware of what these gangs are doing and what to watch for. Is your agency training you in that? Crisis intervention, where you use verbal judo as well, like de-escalation techniques. Are we training our officers in crisis intervention techniques? We have so many mentally ill inmates now in jails and prisons that it's almost like there are no more hospitals for them that they can go to, correctional hospitals. I'm not saying there are no more, but we're losing a lot of them. So they're putting the mental health onto us, the correctional officers. They're making us, the correctional officers, give them their 8th Amendment rights to safety, of course, which we must, care, custody, and control. But we're not highly trained in mental health. We need to at least have 40 hours crisis intervention training for every single officer. The Sheriff's Department I just retired from made sure every officer had that little CIT, crisis intervention training pin, indicating they've had 40 hours of crisis intervention. It's not a degree in psychology, it's not a mental health degree, but it sure does help, folks. Physical fitness, overlooked by so many of us at times. We all want to do better at being physically fit, but we're short-staffed, we're drained, we're tired. We just barely get home to go to bed and wake up and have to go back to work again. But somehow, some way, your agency must incorporate a training program for correctional officer shift workers. They must give you a facility to exercise in. They must provide you with a nutritionist. Oh, there's managers now going, oh no, don't say that. That's money, money, money. Well, investing in officers, to me, is well worth the money. And we need to start doing these things, folks. I wanted to point out these things right here on this list to jot your brains, get you to thinking, get hopefully some leaders that are watching this, managers that are watching this, start thinking. We need to start caring for our officers and training them properly and looking out for their health, their safety, and their well-being. Please consider having your agency start training, if they are not already, in these areas we just discussed today. God bless you all. Stay safe. And thank you for what you do to keep our community safe while we sleep at night.